All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into the incredible story of a leader who really stood at the crossroads of, well, everything. We're talking empire, faith, and resistance. Let's get into Empress Taitu Betul of Ethiopia.
So think about this. How does one empress manage to defy a massive European empire and, at the same time, shape the future of the Holy Land? It's a wild question, right? Because it gets at the two sides of her legacy. She was this brilliant military mind, but she was also this incredibly devout spiritual guardian. So how does she pull it all off? Let's figure it out.
Yeah, Taitu Betul she was never ever someone to just sit on the sidelines. Her official title might have been Empress Consort to Emperor Menelik II, but make no mistake, she was a true political force. We're talking about someone known all across Ethiopia for her razor-sharp intellect and this absolutely unwavering vision for her country's future.
Okay, so to really get a grip on her impact, let's just quickly walk through the highlights of her life. She was born into nobility way back in 1851. By 1889, she's the empress. But the 1890s, that decade was absolutely pivotal. You've got her crucial role in the massive victory at Adwa in '96, and at the same time, she's launching this ambitious project in Jerusalem. She passed away in 1918, but believe me, her influence, it still echoes today.
All right, first up, let's talk about Taitu the Defender. This is the story of her fierce political mind and how she stared down one of Europe's biggest colonial powers.
You have to understand, her influence in the imperial court was just immense. Don't just think of her as a partner. She was the emperor's most essential strategist. I mean, we know from historical accounts that pretty much no major decision, whether it was political or military, was made without her input. Her counsel was truly fundamental to where the empire was headed.
And you know, her voice was never, ever louder than when she was dealing with Italy. See, the Italians came forward with this treaty, but buried deep in the text was this little clause to turn Ethiopia into a protectorate. So what does that actually mean? Well, in short, it meant a complete and total surrender of sovereignty. And for Taitu, that was just absolutely unthinkable, not going to happen.
And in this now famous showdown with the Italian envoy, she didn't just reject the treaty. She completely tore it apart with these words. This wasn't a negotiation for her. It was a fiery, passionate defense of her nation's dignity. Her resolve was just absolute.
In that unyielding stance, it totally forced the issue. The treaty was thrown out, which led directly to the Battle of Adwa. And the result? A stunning, historic victory for Ethiopia, which preserved its independence against a major European power. Just incredible.
But her fight for Ethiopia's soul wasn't just happening on the battlefield. Not at all. Her commitment to her nation's identity went so much deeper, right into the realm of faith. And that brings us to the whole other pillar of her legacy. So yeah, this brings us to the second pillar of her life, her profound religious devotion, and how she managed to turn that faith into a lasting, physical presence in one of the most sacred cities in the world.
Taitu was a deeply, deeply pious member of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, a faith that has these ancient roots in the Holy Land. And something really troubled her, the hardships that thousands of Ethiopian pilgrims faced when they journeyed to Jerusalem each year. You know, they'd get there and often have nowhere to stay. She saw this not just as some abstract problem, but as her personal mission to solve.
So her vision was both really practical and super ambitious. She wasn't just thinking about temporary help. She wanted to build a permanent Ethiopian foothold in the city. So she used her own money and her incredible influence to buy land. And then she built a convent, a church, and ultimately the Devout Monastery. I mean, a lasting sanctuary for her people right in the heart of Jerusalem.
So, how do we bring these two incredible sides of her story together? Let's take a look at how the strategist and the believer combined to really forge the legacy of an icon. So here you can see her two legacies, right side by side. On one hand, you've got the fierce strategist who defended her nation's sovereignty, and on the other, the devout believer who built a home for its spirit halfway across the world. But what's so crucial to understand is that these weren't separate identities, not at all. They were just two different expressions of the exact same unwavering commitment to the dignity and the soul of the Ethiopian people. So today, Empress Taitu Betul stands as this powerful symbol of so many things, right? She's a symbol of strong female leadership in a world dominated by men, a symbol of unbreakable resistance against colonial ambition, and maybe most importantly, she represents that profound union of deep faith and decisive political action. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Her story is this amazing reminder that historical figures are so rarely one-dimensional.
By uniting her political power with her spiritual vision, she created a legacy that's both powerful and profound. And it really makes you wonder, right? What other legacies have been lost? Or what stories have we misunderstood just because we've only focused on one side of a leader?